Doom Eternal finally released on March 20th after the longest 5 months of my life was spent waiting for it. But really, was it worth the price tag? And more importantly, was it worth the wait? Well, in this video, we're going to discuss just what I got for my 50 British pounds or just about 60 US dollars, so that you can make an informed purchasing decision about Doom Eternal. Of course, I did pay full price, no press discounts or other special promotions for me, unfortunately, and with that, let's move on to the meat of the video. Speaking of meat, the meat of Doom Eternal steak dinner is the gameplay, and it did not disappoint. You start off with the most simple armament you will ever need, a shotgun. From there you go and do as you'd expect of any 90s style action game and shoot the absolute living fuck out of anything that dares to breathe and or move in your vicinity until the game tells you not to, so that it can shout exposition at you for a couple of minutes while you go grab a drink. Mechanically, Doom Eternal is sound and plays like a well-oiled machine. I've heard the term a ballet with bullets tossed around, and I can say for sure that is exactly what you're getting yourself into in the later levels. Of course, for that ballet to start, you need some big guns. Some really big guns. And id has laid out a very nice arsenal to choose from. Unlike in Doom 2016, where half the guns are obsolete 10 minutes after you pick them up, every gun in Doom Eternal is useful throughout the entire game. For instance, the shotgun you start off with is great at dealing with cacodemons. Atop that starting combat shotgun, you've got the returning classic of the double-barreled super shotgun, this time with added grappling hook. Not only does this thing allow you to throw yourself around the map like a crackhead with a death wish, but also hit like Chuck Norris after someone insulted his mother. This combination of speed and power makes the super shotgun an amazing hit-and-run weapon, not to mention an absolute unit of utility when it comes to mobility. Another returning weapon from a previous game, although reskinned and renamed, is the heavy assault rifle from Doom 2016, now named the Heavy Cannon. It serves roughly the same purpose and has the same two mods, except now the scope is actually useful for something other than using up a drone box. The Gauss Cannon also makes a reappearance as the Ballista, which although having different mods, functions almost identically in its base form. Atop this, there's the all-important plasma rifle that was extremely powerful and rare in the original Doom, but then completely useless in Doom 2016. This time it's a mix of the two, with ammo being easy enough to find and damage being high enough to make it a great single-target DPS weapon. Of course, there's still a rocket launcher, because no Doom game would be complete without a rocket launcher. But this one comes with an interesting demonic look instead of a UAC industrial look like the one from Doom 2016. It also hits harder and the rockets move a bit slower. Of course, Doom's iconic weapon duo has made a glorious return, with the chainsaw and BFG 9000 being once more in the spotlight and the most useful weapons in your arsenal. The chainsaw of course is your ammo lifeline, and the BFG uses your get out of jail BF card. Of course, the BFG 9000 maintains the styling of the Doom 2016 BFG and also maintains its function. If you love evaporating whole groups of enemies in one press of a button, you will love this BFG. Atop the weapons listed earlier in this video, you have two utility weapons and one sort of weapon. The sort of weapon I'm talking about is the Praetor Blade, which is essentially a large knife stuck to your arm for stabbing demons with in glory kills. Atop this, you have the return of frag grenades and the addition of frost grenades. For bonus points, you also have an ability called Flame Belch. Frag grenades are simple: press button, watch it roll, enemies die. Frost grenades freeze them in place, although they don't do much if any damage, but you can then shoot them harder, which is pretty good since it works on almost anything up to the topmost enemies. The Flame Belch, well, it doesn't do a lot of damage, but it sets things on fire and makes them drop armor. Why does purging heretics in holy fire repair your armor? I don't know. What I do know is that I like purging heretics in holy fire. Flame Belch, combined with the chainsaw and glory kill systems from Doom 2016, gives a well-rounded complement of tools to replenish your supplies in combat. Not to mention that the chainsaw regenerates up to 1 fuel constantly, which is enough to turn a possessed into a pile of free ammunition in just a couple of seconds of engine noise and demonic screaming. All of this gives you the ability to live without any ammo, health, or armor pickups whatsoever, given your demon killing skills are up to scratch, of course. Since Doom Eternal has been described as a ballet with bullets, where's the ballet part? Well, Doom Eternal has an amazing movement system, including many different traversal options from straight up running and jumping, to throwing yourself sky high from monkey bars and launching yourself through knockoff Mario Galaxy warp stars. You've also got jump pads, wall climbing, and of course a good old-fashioned grappling hook. But not just any grappling hook, the Slayer's own grappling hook, attached to none other than his prized super shotgun. If you remember anything from Doom 2016 besides the music, it should be the intricate and genuinely amazing design of its arenas. Sure, they weren't the most inconspicuous video game levels, but they sure were fun to play in and pretty well varied. Doom Eternal follows suit here perfectly and has an absolutely amazing suite of well-designed, engineered and textured levels. One standout point for Doom Eternal is its use of colour. Where Doom 2016 was all brown and grey, Doom Eternal oozes colour, with an arcadey, almost comic book look. This comic book look gave the same vibrancy that Doom 2016 sorely lacked, and although that game was beautifully detailed, Doom Eternal's environments, weapons, enemies, characters and designs are so much better, as they're more finely detailed and much more beautifully rendered. Playing on below maximum settings, I could really tell that the time and effort was absolutely put in to make Doom Eternal look downright awesome, and it really does. The textures are high quality, and id Tech 7's rendering engine makes quick work of outputting them onto your screen. It is well known for their optimization and the fact that their most popular game of all time can literally run on a toaster with a computer monitor plugged into it. And I'm proud to say that it has done it yet again, ladies and gentlemen, as Doom Eternal runs like polished butter on my slightly subpar rig. Mind you, I was running on high settings in 1080p with my CPU being barely above minimum spec. I was, for all intents and purposes, playing at a perfect crisp 60 frames per second the whole time. Even Doom 2016 doesn't run quite this well, and it's nowhere near as good looking as Doom Eternal is. On the topic of things that this game does far better than Doom 2016, there's the enemy variety. Doom 2016 had a very limited but diverse cast of enemies. Doom Eternal has a much less limited, equally diverse cast of enemies ranging from some returning foes to Barons of Hell but in their edgy 13-year-old phase and Arachnotrons. One thing that makes these demons far better than those found in Doom 2016 is the new Destructible Demons system, which makes the demons take permanent visible damage as you deal it to them, not to mention giving them specific weak points and more unique ways to fight them. This is awesome because it removes the annoyingly difficult task that is keeping track of which demons you've already shot, instead replacing it with a beautifully gory system of just straight up blowing demons apart. Of course, Doom Eternal features the Archvile, the original sort of mini-boss from Doom 2 back in the day, but it also features two other mini-bosses of which I'm going to talk about one right now. That mini-boss is the Doom Hunter, as seen in his very own reveal trailer. Your first fight with the Doom Hunter is very ceremonious and boss battle-y, but after that they're kinda just sprinkled in occasionally with the hordes of other enemies that you'll normally be fighting. In my opinion, the Doom Hunter is a great design as he has a set of well-designed weaknesses and properly telegraphed attacks. This might be a bit controversial, but I'd say the sort of battle pass id provided as a leveling up system for Doom Eternal is a really good thing, as it gives players something to work for that not only gives them cool multiplayer swag, but swag that they can also use in the single player. I know people give it some crap for the Bethesda.net login thing, but I get it because it's for the skins and the item servers, which do actually affect the single player, believe it or not. As I have tested this as well by running around as the Red Slayer and the Zombie Slayer instead of the Doom Slayer for a bit in my time playing the game to write this review. Before I wrote this, I had a quick play of the battle mode as the Slayer, and although I haven't really gone into play as the demons yet, I have done a tutorial for them. Battle mode seems to be a very well crafted mode and so far has provided an interesting and unique experience that, although I only played briefly, will likely have me coming back time and time again because not only is it still in the core gameplay loop of Doom Eternal, but it's also a unique, more stressful experience because you're up against other players, who tend to be far smarter than the AI. I will update in the description what I think of the invasions after they've released and after I've had a chance to experience them, if I remember to. Amazingly, we still haven't hit the climax of the good things about this game because there is one element in which it is literally the best of the best, and that's the soundtrack. This game has a phenomenal soundtrack composed by gaming music legend Mick Gordon. Mick Gordon being the genius behind Doom 2016's legendary soundtrack and amazing Score the Action style. Thankfully, Doom Eternal followed this trend and kept the Score the Action style, benefiting from it greatly as the music holds up just as well as it did in Doom 2016. Heck, I'm almost sure they actually reused BFG Division this time around, but I'm definitely not complaining because BFG Division is awesome. Of course, with that high of praise, I obviously have to fault Doom Eternal somewhere, and, well, yeah, I can. Obviously, there's the whole always online thing, especially if you're on Nintendo Switch, but more importantly than that, there are two specific enemies which pissed me off to no end. The chief of the two is the Whiplash. The Whiplash are these weird snake-like creatures that slither around being hard to hit and then pop up to gun you down with pure pain. Then when you try to curb stomp them, they always just run away like it's no big whoop. But really, the Whiplash have nothing on my least favourite enemy to fight in Doom Eternal. The Marauder. Yeah, I said it, I find this awesome looking mini-boss a bloody pain in the ass to fight. At least I did when I first came up against him. I'll remind you that I was playing on the ultra-violence difficulty, and that the mini-bosses before and after him were a walk in the park in comparison. His attacks are badly telegraphed, hard to predict, and annoying to try and range out properly. It feels like it's accurate to the inch, but it also feels like it doesn't matter where I go because he's either going to do the annoying ass axe attack or just shotgun me in the face anyway. Sometimes, if you get lucky, he only goes for the attacks you can hit him during, meaning that you can beat him quickly. And I'll admit, when he wasn't bullshitting me, he was actually kind of a fun enemy to fight, besides being a little bit too quick and teleporty for my tastes. I would rather they have reduced his movement speed by 30 or so percent and made his attacks a little bit harder hitting in exchange for them being easier to counter. It wouldn't have hurt if they gave you a more solid idea of where the proper range to stand from him actually is, because it doesn't seem to matter where I stand, he will always throw axes. One thing I do like is his design. He's visually stunning and unique on the battlefield, which is very good, but that's really all he's got going for him, and it's far harder to miss an Arachnotron on the field than it is to miss a Marauder in a crowd of other demons. I think that the Marauder would have made a far better one-off boss than recurring mini-boss like he was, although that's just my opinion. Obviously, with a bit of balance tweaking, he could have been a great recurring enemy, but unfortunately he just isn't quite as fun to fight as some of the other enemies, even though his design is cool and unique. The second thing I have to fault Doom Eternal about is its campaign length. I played on release day, from as soon as it was done unpacking until I beat the game, and it took me approximately 12 hours. 12 hours is a lot for a first-person shooter campaign, do not get me wrong. But Doom Eternal was claiming a 22 to 32 hour campaign, and my first playthrough, which although not slow was not really a fast playthrough either, was only 12 hours. Admittedly, those might have been the best 12 hours of my life, but they were still only 12 hours, when the game was claiming 22. Now, I can imagine the game being significantly longer once invasions are introduced, but I'm not sure when that'll be, and I'm fairly sure it won't add 10 hours to the campaign length. Hopefully they do expand on the campaign by adding another level or two after the end of the main plotline that would just flesh it out a bit more, give it a bit more meat and combat. In some people's opinion, the UI is kinda crowded and nasty, and I get that, in a way it kind of is. It's also brightly coloured and a little bit small. Unlike most people though, I really like the UI for being small and minimalistic in terms of screen space. Sure, it's a bit crowded, but it's out of the way of the action and not covering up the things you're supposed to be shooting at. Atop this, there is a fair bit of parkour which does test how much you can tolerate of the movement system being used outside of combat. In my opinion, it's fine and breaks up the gameplay a little bit, but at the same time it's a little overdone by the end of the game and could have been better. There are also normal cutscenes this time instead of a severe lack of them, however they are all skippable, which is a massive improvement over Hayden's office in Doom 2016, which was a long, boring wait for Sammy Haybale to stop talking so that you could get back to ripping and tearing demons like it's going out of style. The cutscenes are decent but not that great and do provide a short break from the action so you can crack open a can of white monster boomer juice and get ready to rip and tear another 3 demons' new assholes. As for the plot, I won't spoil it, but it goes effectively as follows. The Slayer wants to kill demons. Some people don't like you killing demons. You kill them and then go straight back to killing demons. The cutscenes aren't that bad, but they aren't that great either, although they do tell the basic story pretty well. In all fairness, as someone who does like the plot, it isn't too bad in my opinion, although I think that in future titles they should cut down on the cutscenes at least a little bit. But it's really snakes and ladders because they do just keep the game from getting too stale too quickly, although I don't think the gameplay of Doom Eternal would really get that stale. At least, to me. And with that, I have to conclude that Doom Eternal is a very fucking good game, and that you should absolutely buy it as soon as you have the chance because it's just a genuinely amazingly designed game. The campaign, although a bit shorter than I was expecting, was very fun. I had a lot of fun playing through it, and although there are a couple of things I would change, Overall, it's a great game, and I would say Game of the Year material all the time. Mick Gordon's amazing soundtrack was a highlight. The guns sounded powerful, they felt powerful, I felt powerful. Once you really get to know this game, you feel like a god of war. It is just an amazing feeling. Doom Eternal is just an amazing game. I'm sorry, but 10 out of 10, you should fucking buy this game. I know I'm fanboying a bit, but it's totally worth it. Thank you all for watching. I have been your host, Robert343, and I am now signing off. Peace out, gentlemen.